be diving deeper into topics this cohort to provide more value, insight, and knowledge to our constituents. The program labeled The Art of Negotiations will be an interactive and tied series where we will learn from week to week and share and apply experiential knowledge to understand and focus on the fundamentals of negotiation. However, before we begin, I'd like to ask my treasurer, Michael Pinnock, to come and share some greetings on behalf of the BBPA and give some contextual insight of the Level Up program as a whole and its vision and direction. Ladies and gentlemen, I defer to Michael Pinnock.
Thanks, Anton, and welcome again. And I just like to see my president is on board. So I always defer to her. So I'm going to say my little 2 cents, and then I'm going to allow my president to actually bring the official greetings on behalf of the BBP. Suffice it to say, though, is that as Anton mentioned earlier, we've been doing this program for a while now, especially since the inception of 2021. And if one can recall, for those who have been here before, we used to have different speakers each Tuesday. And so this new cohort, we are trying to enhance the program by doing a series. So we get a little more involved, we get the participants are more involved. We can do some scenario and training in terms of role playing and so on and so forth. So this is the first of a number of presentations that we're going to have like this. And it's called The Heart of Negotiation. And we know in our community, one of the challenges we have is how we price what we deliver. You know, you do a lot of stuff and it's always difficult, especially if it's a first job you get in and you think it's a big job. You don't want to underprice lest people think you don't know what you're doing. You don't want to overprice lest they go to the competition. So this particular series, and I think it's in 4 parts, or we might even go to 5 if we need to, is to give you the tools by going through a process of role playing and to see if we can enhance your readiness for negotiations. And it's going to be, as I say, initially it's a 4-part series, but we may go to 5 if we think we need the time and space to do it. And again, welcome and thank you for being here. I always like to remind folks that you being here is a sacrifice. You could have been many other places or just stay where you're at doing what you're doing. But you choose to be here, and we in the BBP is very, very pleased when you do that. And I've got my vice president, I can see him, and he's going to say a few words too, and then we're going to defer the final word to our illustrious and beautiful, brilliant president when the time comes. So thanks again, Anton, and thanks for asking me for saying a few words.
No problem. And so let me formally introduce the next individual you're going to hear. His name is Ross Kadas, and he is the VP of the Black Business Professional Association.
Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our first session in the Level Up series, The Art of Negotiation. Oftentimes you hear, you never get what you deserve, you always get what you negotiate. So I would encourage everybody on the call to pay careful attention to this series, as I think as business owners, some of you aspiring business owners as well, or just people looking to move their careers forward, this is going to be an important piece to that. So welcome again, and I look forward to sharing with you some of the tips, or being part of some of the tips that we're going to share today. Thank you.
And of course, we saved the best to last, the president herself, Miss Nadine. Miss Nadine, please come forward.
Thank you very much, Anton, and thank you for being here. Welcome, everyone. We are at the second cohort of the Level Up Masterclass in Finance, and I'm really thrilled to see the new format. So I want to really thank our treasurer, Michael Pinnock, for that new concept, because, you know, as we know, business is about pivoting. It's never doing the same thing over and over again. It's about finding new ways of engaging your audience and doing things in a different way. Michael also mentioned, you know, about, you know, I think one of the biggest challenges that I see with people and negotiating and money is that we don't know, when I say the collective we don't know how to ask for what we want. And that's the first part of negotiating. As you heard our vice president say, life will give you what you ask of it. It's not what you deserve, it is what you negotiate. And I've spent many years in sales, and at our Boss Woman program, which is starting tonight, we're going to be talking about what sales at some point, but a lot of it is about negotiating, knowing what you're worth, knowing what you want, and asking for it. Many years ago, I worked on a project in Honduras, and they reached out to our company and they said the budget is $25 million. And we knew how to say yes, because they had asked other people and they didn't know how to say yes. So even as something as simple as that, that's a part of negotiating, knowing how to say yes and not walking away from the table, even though it might have been intimidating. And so we have an amazing speaker here today. And I know, Anton, you're also going to be part of this discussion, but we have seeded this with gems to help our not just personal, but business growth as we really move our trajectory into leveling up. So the BBPA is here for you in many, many ways. And I want to thank you very much for joining us on this journey. So all of this is provided just for you. And as Janet Jackson says, it's all for you if you really want it. So it's all for you if you really want it. Anton, over to you.
Thank you so much, Madam President. Okay, so let's jump right into the program as we seek to understand about this negotiation. Our special guest for this program, our facilitator for the series, will be Maple Dorrington. Who is Maple Dorrington? Maple Dorrington is a professional with over 25 years of experience as a strategist, a banking specialist at international and Canadian banking institutions. She has held progressively senior roles, providing direct support to senior leadership teams across 27 countries in Canada, the Caribbean, Latin America, and Asia. Maple brings extensive experience working with the corporate, entrepreneurial companies, and a proven track record in strategic design, driving high performance amongst her clients. Maple holds an MBA from Edinburgh Business Schools in UK, a bachelor's degree in science major in economics and management studies from the University of the West Indies. She's a trained high school teacher and an associate chartered banker in London, UK, and a personal financial planner with a designation from the Canadian Institute of Bankers and Project Management Essentials from the University of Toronto. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to give you Maple Dorrington.
Thank you, Anton. Wow. Thank you very much, Nadine, as well as Michael, for this opportunity to speak with the BBPA. Really appreciate everything you guys are doing for our community, and it's really an outstanding job. So good afternoon, everyone, and a very, very warm and pleasant welcome to you today. I'm just going to share my screen now to start off, and the technicalities that usually take place here. So here we go. So the art of negotiation. This is indeed, as already mentioned, a very interesting topic. Why this is so is because it impacts every aspect of our lives. Throughout our personal or business journey, we will find ourselves, perhaps multiple times, at different sides of the negotiating table. Sometimes we have the time to react to what confronts us. Other times we plan for the experience, but other times we're just caught off guard. And we have to really be able to pivot into responding spontaneously in those interactions. The conversation bandwidth can range from being friendly to being pressured, sometimes even hostile. And there are a number of nuances in between. But regardless of the origin, we need these critical skills to effectively navigate our challenging situations to arrive at our desired outcome. So there are significant unrealized value in our Black community. There's so much untapped potential. And if we can acquire these type of social skills and use them effectively, it will open doors to endless possibilities. So knowing how to apply these skills, whether it's to keep your business relevant, to access cash flow, the bloodline of your business, to win favors personally, or even to generate referrals in your sales process, you would need these skills for your business to grow and for it to be having sustained viability. So for today, what exactly are we going to be doing? For today, we will be looking at an overview of the workshop series. We will be taking a pre-survey, which Anton will explain later the purpose and expectations. We will be sharing some obstacles that you encounter throughout your negotiation experience so we can incorporate that in the program and have that customized particularly for your specific needs. As well as we will be sharing some next steps and some case studies that the workshop will be used throughout the program. So that's what we will be covering today. So before we get started, let's take a first poll just to get a pulse check on where you're at with respect to this particular subject. Can we go ahead and share? So here you have your poll. Which one best describes your negotiation experience? Avoidance due to discomfort, giving easily to rescue the situation, undesirable source of tension and arguments, generate anger and resentment. Often you will refuse to give in to save face. How do you match up here? Okay, so there we have it. We can enter a poll now and see the results. There we have it. 20% avoidance due to discomfort. 60% giving easily to rescue the situation. Well, we have enough few, not a 20%, love to save face. Whatever the outcome is, I am here to tell you that all of the above, at some point or the other, someone will default to because that's what's easier for them. So having seen that poll, we can take down our poll now, and we are going to move into a common connotation, or there is some correlation between business trends, the survival of business, and negotiation. Do you know, a question I'm asking here is, what percentage of businesses fail at the startup stage? Throw that in the chat. Let's see what we think that is. What are we seeing there, Anton? 10, 20, what percent are we seeing there in the chat?
Thus far, I've seen ones come directly to me, and I saw, 10, I see a 25, I see 30, I see 70, I see 50.
Okay.
I see 60, I see 50.
All right, that's fine. Believe it or not, it's 90%. And the breakdown is there, and I just throw up there just to give you an idea. But the real issue here is that there's a connection between business survival and negotiation. And the first step to address these business statistics is to recognize some of the mistakes. The inability to effectively negotiate is evidence in many failures, including entering the industry in which you have no experience or little experience, unable to defend and sell the real value of your products and services, struggling with opposing parties over price or utility of your offerings, ignoring what customer wants and failing to recognize the market has no need for your products and services, refusing to be flexible and adapt to changing customer preferences and trends, and the difficulty to access financing, and often you run out of cash flow, which is the bloodline of your business. So some of these very common failures are connected to negotiation. And so once you have been able to develop the skills, and through many practice and through experience, you will be able to navigate a number of these things to be your desired outcome. So having said that, now that we know that there is some connection between your business and negotiation, of course, you're going to want an interest into what that is. So the next 4 weeks, we're going to be dealing with a series of what we call building blocks. In other words, they are progressive lead up to a particular area. And so they are all connected. And so as we go through these building blocks from week to week, I just want to quickly give you an overview of what they are. But ask yourself these questions. Have you ever been in a discussion and after you wish you could have said this or share that? How often have you uncovered some information you wish you had prior to responding to a loan claim, an insurance claim, or a business loan, or a contract bid, or even to get a position? And do you feel annoyed if you didn't share clearly what sets your business apart so that you could be chosen over the competitor? Well, that and many more is what we are going to cover in week 1 of our building blocks, the prepare stage. It's about research and experience and pulling on that information. Who is my target audience? How do I reach them? And who am I speaking to in a particular area when I'm having this discussion? What about their needs assessment? Do I know what their interests are? What is it that we are negotiating about? What about my value proposition? What do I bring to the table? And what are the opportunities in front of me that I can explore or even exploit in some situation? That's our week 1. So having gone through the prepare building block stage, then do you often jump to a solution before hearing all the facts and later wish you had taken the time to know more? How often do you allow your emotions to get the best of you and cloud your judgment? And do you find it frustrating to listen to someone when they keep saying the same thing over and over, and so you get to a stalemate or a deadlock? Well, let's visit week number 2. And this is where we're going to be talking about the dialogue, how we exchange information, build rapport, understanding communication styles, our listening skills, our problem solving, reaching common ground and fair value. Those are some of the things that we will go through in building block number 2. And then as we move on, what about, do you feel like a failure when you do not handle objections well? Do you really cave in or give in to perhaps even compromising on your offer due to pressure coming at you? Or are you afraid or reluctant to take ownership for your customer complaints or your supplier giving you the runaround? Well, let's address that in week number 3, the bargaining stage. How to create safe spaces with mutual interest, how you do critical assessments instantaneously, how you explore options in front of you so that you give many ways to really come out of this particular negotiation discussion, overcoming objections and not taking them personal. What about the diversity of thought? There are so many people in the GTA that comes from various places. Tapping into their different experiences certainly can give us a very rich cultural awareness. And so once you've gone through the bargaining stage, you're leading to something. So then, how many times you wish you had a realistic target or a goal before you engage in a discussion? And do you feel let down or second guess yourself when you miss an opportunity because you were hesitant and indecisive? Do you resent unsolicited feedback and alternate points of view when trying to make a decision? Well, that will take us into week number 4, which is where we're talking about making decisions, putting the pieces together, the decision-making process, how you deal with win-win and trade-offs and compromises, how you have feedback and viewpoints to deal with, and arriving at those desired outcome that is best for your interest. That's how the building blocks will build together week after week as you get to this final stage. And as Michael mentioned, depending on our interaction as we go through these weeks, it may be necessary for us to add additional weeks because it's an interactive, your needs base that we're working towards solving. So that's an overview of the workshop. Now, before we go further, we want to do something which is what we call a pre-survey. And this pre-survey, I'm going to allow Anton to explain to you the purpose and the expectations around this pre-survey. Go ahead, please, Anton.
No problem. So what we're going to do right now is take a moment to conduct a pre-survey to better understand both one, the diverse participants and their businesses. Where are you from? What type of business do you have? What's the ownership structure? We're focusing mainly on that aspect. Second, we also want to know is what is your negotiation knowledge base? Where are you right now? Are you elevated? Is it something new to you? Is it something you need to expand? You know, again, the information we're trying to develop is to be helpful in catering information over the next few weeks. This program is going to be a mix of both learning knowledge, applied knowledge, and experiential knowledge. So to facilitate the survey, if you look in the chat right now, so for those look at the bottom of your screen, there's a chat functionality. And in that chat functionality, you will see a link. What I'd like you to do is for everyone to click on that link. And it will, once you click on the link, it will take about 5 to 10 minutes to the maximum to complete the survey. Once you've completed the survey, close and return to the Zoom session. I see a question coming up there from Mr. Michael Pinnock. Please go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, I just noticed, thanks, Anton, but I just noticed that the URL in this worksheet and the link is not the same. Does it matter?
No, just go ahead and click on the link in the chat.
The link in the chat is the right one, okay.
Yes. So please go ahead, click it on. It should take 10 minutes at the maximum. Once you're finished, click it back, just close it up and come right back in.
Anton?
Yes, sir.
I don't know if my eyes have gone bad, but Ontario is not on your list.
Really? No.
Yeah, it does. Order.
Right. That must have been an error.
Yeah, so how can we solve it? Can we presume that order we use as Ontario for the time being?
So yeah, or if you want to just type Ontario in the chat and we'll pick it up after. But I think other maybe is a quicker way to get it done. So yeah, let's use other.
Unless there's a real other, then they can write it in the chat.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's probably better. That's probably better. Thank you for that, Michael.
Okay, I'm just looking for my province.
I know. Isn't that interesting?
are from Ontario, just click other. And if you are outside of Ontario, outside of Canada, put in the other. So Sophia, thank you. All right, 1 minute to go, just over 1 minute to go. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You have last 30 seconds. Last 30 seconds. And thank you for that, everybody. Thank you for that. Again, for clarification, we had to make a quick change, and we appreciate, I saw there was some feedback both in the general and to myself. For those that are in Ontario, just fill it in other. If you are outside of Canada, please put other, please put where that is in the chat itself. Over to you, Ms. Maple. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much, Anton. I'm sharing screen again, so let's see if we can get that back up here. There we go. So thank you so much. We will be collecting that information in the background, and eventually we will be using that information, as Anton mentioned before, for the purposes of the getting some demographics for the BBP, as well as using some of that information collected to help with the design to make it more customized and needs-based for your particular area of needs. Now we are going to move on, and the next thing we're going to do is we're turning it over to you participants. It's now your turn. Please share what obstacles normally get in your way during your negotiation experiences. By doing so, we will get a glimpse into some of the pain points that you have been encountering and how we're going to further design our program to address those pain points and get you in a place of confidence when you enter the negotiation chamber. So over to you, and Anton will be moderating those questions, and we will be responding to some of them, and others we will be gathering and collating to move forward with the program. So over to you, audience.
Well, I can start off by saying there was an initial comment from Shikara, and basically she was saying she recently was going for a job opportunity, and she was trying to negotiate, but she accepted a counter. Her basic response is, recently negotiated for a higher pay. I accepted the counter offer knowing it was less than I deserve to avoid being uncomfortable. Still got a small raise, but probably would have gotten more if I had stuck through it. Now I want to ask for a double what I really want. So one is definitely negotiation of pay is one of the challenges.
Okay. And we will be talking about that throughout our program when we get to the bargaining section. But of course, the building blocks leading up to that are just as important. And they will be areas that you use as stepping stone as you get into the actual bantering between what your needs are. And then you will be able to see how it's not always a win-win. Sometimes it's a win-lose, other times they're compromise, and other times because of other underlying factors, you choose to give in. But all of that would be based upon how you have prepared yourself going into it. And then you will be learning some new phrases like the banter and stuff like that. But don't want to give away the show. So we want to hold on to some of those nuggets for now and definitely take those into consideration as we move forward.
We got another one here.
I will go, Anton, if
by all means.
Nobody's coming up yet. I just thinking about, like in my space, knowledge of what the market can bear, especially when you're going into a new negotiation. I find that if you underprice compared to market, folks believe you are probably incompetent or inexperienced and so on, and that is why you came in so low. And if you price too far above market, then they'll just set you aside for the time being and go to the competition. And the question is, how do you know at most of the time, if not all the time, how do you gather that kind of information so when you're going there for a negotiation, you actually know what market is or close to market?
Okay, that's a very good point. And again, that's something that we'll be addressing. But for now, I could say definitely for sure, preparation is very important. The research, you take the time to put it in to understand who you're dealing with, who's your audience, what is it that needs are, but more than anything else, even sometimes it's as simple as someone saying that they are going to buy stock in the market and they will never know when to sell or buy because it is always fluctuating. But there are times when you really have to set your price or your cost based upon what you know for your business that you can bear rather than what market can bear. Because if you know that your pricing, you're going in and you're asking for X amount because that's what's going to cover your costs and you have your profit margin set in there and all of that stuff, then it may be too greedy to be going far above. Or if you go far below, you may be putting your business at risk in terms of the fact that it cannot sustain that kind of pricing. But during the session, we will be talking about some different avenues or different ways in which you go into a negotiation and landing at a place which is your desired outcome, your desired outcome. So that's what we'll be talking about.
Perfect. Thank you for that, Michael. That was actually a great question. I have another feedback here. It's from Ariel, and she's asking, her statement is lack of preparation, experience, and confidence negotiating, and fear of social anxiety.
Yeah, those are very common areas. And that's part of what we will be dealing in the preparation stage in terms of how do you develop your confidence based primarily on your knowledge, your experience, and your research, as well as tapping shoulders of some of your allies, your sponsors, or your network so that you can build or you can dive into some of their experiences and use it to your advantage. So sometimes it's an entire village that you have to tap into to get to a place of where you want to go. But the preparation and getting yourself ready for that is going to be key. And particularly in our cases where some of our main negotiation challenges lies with dealing with financial institutions, dealing with insurance companies, dealing with your price offering. And as we say, if you have a particular business and you do not know how to set your price, then that's maybe something needs to step back and do, because you can't just set a price because somebody else has that price. It has to be with respect to your business operations and many more things that sits behind that overarching business model. So a lot of that we will be covering as we move along, but noted as a particular need here right now.
Perfect. Another one was saying, how do we adjust our mindset and make sure that we're not too comfortable, not too considerate?
No.
They want to make sure, how do they adjust their mindset and ensure they're not too considerate? So it said mindset and too considerate, but I'm assuming they don't want to be too considerate to the opposing person.
The opposing party. Yes, that's part of the bargaining and common interest and understanding what it means by mutual interest. Because both of you coming to the table, you both have an interest that you're defending. So the idea is, how do you negotiate in such a way that each party may walk away feeling they have gained something? And in so doing, it may be that there's a compromise on some part. Usually the person with the stronger bargaining chip is the person who has the most to gain. So sometimes there are times when you go in and you didn't plan for that particular outcome, but you do have it as a fallback. And we'll talk about that so that you can understand that you don't want to feel trapped or pressure into making decisions. You want to know you have alternatives, and you do almost like what you call a decision tree. If this doesn't work, then this plus that or this. And then by the time you go through it, you will land at the place where it's best for you to come up. But most times, again, is always, what do you have to lose at that point of the bargaining? That will sometimes help you to make that decision.
I want to start a business, but I found a facility that I want to rent. I don't know or don't know how to negotiate a better price. Is this something that I will learn?
Yes, well, you're not going to learn specifics of how to rent a building, but you will be learning principles that you can apply in that particular case. And some of those, like renting a building, those are very more tangible things, and research can easily give you an idea of what that should be. There are other things that are far more intangible, or what we'll call softer ways that it's a little more difficult for you to navigate. But like the rental of a building is usually what the market is, and you could research that or go through it. And again, it's also what's the location of the building, what do you want it for, what leasehold improvement is required. So a number of things you have to think through when you're in a negotiation, and we will be talking about what we call conditions and concessions that you will be working through to make sure that even though you give up X, you get Y. And you're not walking away feeling like you have got nothing out of it, because that's frustrating and it can discourage you in your business.
Perfect. And the last comment we have is just challenge with communication nuances and lack of information.
Oh, yes. Lack of information can put you down the slippery slope so fast, it's not funny, because most people are preparing to go in, even the person who asked about the question about the position for a job. Most time you're going into those situations, you need to be knowledgeable. Otherwise, two things can happen. Immediately, your opponent will sense your inability or your lack of information, and they will just go for your kill. Or you'll start losing confidence in the negotiation, and that's easily picked up. And whenever the opponent sees that that is happening, again, they can definitely go after your weaknesses. So you want the areas that you feel that you can prepare for, you need to make sure those are strong, so that while you're in the negotiation, the areas you're falling back on are things that maybe you did not anticipate, or they may be things that can go either way. As we said, there are a lot of nuances in the bandwidth of negotiation, and it's going to be an experience over time and the practice that's going to make you good at it. It's not just getting up tomorrow and feeling that you are going to be in the O.J. Simpson with Crockin or somebody, and you're coming out a winner. And the idea also is not to teach you to be expert negotiator. It's for you to understand principles that you can draw on when you're in that position and use it to your advantage.
Okay, that's all the question we have for right now. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Maple.
Okay. Well, those are the obstacles that we will definitely make sure are really coming out in our sessions that we'll be having over the next 4 weeks. And I can promise you that it will be a very good investment of your time. To help us do that, however, we like experiential types of transaction, meaning that you're immersed in it and you're a part of the process, so that at the end of the day, your learning is coming from a place of experience. And so we have here at the end of this session in your inbox, your email inbox, you will be getting a set of 4 case studies. And so those case studies will be your handout. You just need to familiarize yourself with them. They're very short, not very complicated, but there's no need for you to answer the questions that are there right now. Just get yourself familiarized with them. Next week, you'll be placed into teams where you'll be brainstorming these questions around the case study. At that time, you will be engaged in that discussion in your particular team. The team that you'll be assigned to is going to be the team you remain with for the duration of the program. And each week you will be getting a different set of questions matching the building block that we're working on that will take you from week to week until we arrive at our outcome decision-making building block. So keep an eye out. You will be getting those cases in your inbox that will be sent to you following this particular session today. Any questions regarding the instructions around the case studies? Okay, so expect that in your inbox shortly. And now we are going to ask you to just do another poll. And this particular poll is primarily to get your preferred time with respect to when these sessions would be most convenient for you. So we'll go ahead and give you 2 options, and you can go ahead and let us know. Again, the intent is always to make sure we meet your needs and really work within what's convenient for you so you can get the best from the program. So you can go ahead and share that screen with the second poll, please.
You can put down your screen sharing option.
Okay, yeah. It could come up, but it should.
Okay, we may be having a bit of challenges there.
Okay.
With that, as we have almost run out of time, I want to first of all is there any questions from anyone in the audience about the program as it comes out? Is there any questions that somebody has regarding the program itself? Is there any questions? Either feel free to type in the chat real quick, or just raise your hand. Yes? No? Perfect. So in that case, so next week, we're going to see if we can get that in chance with the poll. Okay, so the poll, we're going to have some challenges. If you can do me a favor, in the chat itself, if you can just put 2 or 7. So either is your preference to maintain the time we have now, 2 to 3, or would you prefer to go from 7 to 8? Just put it in the chat. Or you can do 7 or 2. Go ahead, we'll take 10, 15 seconds. 2, 7, 2, 2, 3, 7, 7. Okay.
Open a can of worms there.
Sorry, I can't get it. I prefer 7.
And for clarity, it says 7. It would be 7 o'clock on Wednesday, so it would not conflict with the boss room. We could never do that. We will never have conflicting programs in the BBPA. That's not how we work. So it would be 7 o'clock on Wednesday evening. I'm so sorry about that.
Or 2 on Tuesdays.
Yes. Okay, so we have 7, 7, 7, 7. Oh, wow. All right, looks like 7 is the.
Hello.
Hello?
Are you hearing me?
Oh, we can
Yeah,
do-
I don't know. I can't do it as fast, but I'm thinking 7 on Wednesday.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay. All right. So we got most of your feedback, and it looks predominantly those are looking for 7 o'clock. All right. Thank you so much for that. We have just about run out of time. So I want to first thank Ms. Maple for coming through and sharing through. I hope everyone's excited. It's a new series, a new cohort. We are going to be learning a lot. We're going to be learning experience that you can actually use. We're going to be applying at not only experience that you have with your personal business or your personal as an employee or as an employer, and we're going to be learning a lot of fundamentals. With that said, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about some of the programs we also have in part of the BBPA. So Ms. Maple, I thank you so much. We look forward to the series coming up, to the guests coming out today. We'd like to thank our sponsors, which is RBC, HSBC, and the Donald Reed Estate. And we look forward to the next couple of programs. I would also remit tonight at 6 o'clock, please, for those ladies out there, we have starting again is the Boss Woman program. It's an entrepreneurial training for women-led businesses. And at the head of that one will be our president herself, Miss. On next Wednesday, which is tomorrow at 12 o'clock, we have Ask the Professional discussion, which will be having a discussion on diversity and inclusion, diversity, equity, and inclusion. On next Tuesday, as it looks like, and I'm so sorry. So next week we'll follow up with regards to the time for the next Level Up program. And then finally, we have community space. We have community space, which will be on Saturday at 10 o'clock, a program for focusing on financial literacy for youth and young adults. We thank you so much. Can we put up a program for that?
For
Yes.
your run, Anton,
Yes, sir.
just like to say next Tuesday, we'll come back at this time. And at that time, we'll decide whether we go with the 7.
Okay.
No
Right,
problem.
so we're on at 2 o'clock right now, so we'll stick to this 2, and then at the next time we'll say then the third one maybe 7, because we do appreciate we get the feedback, but we found out today in one of our management meeting that there are really only 5 days in the week, and so we're running a lot of programs. Someone did mention that there's already overlap with the Boss Woman, and so there's a lot of programs, and we can't run every single one of them at 7 in the night, even though it seemed to be a popular choice. So we'll meet back next week at this time, and then we'll then take the decision at the next meeting, that the following one.
Absolutely great.
Maybe at 7, because we do have another program that we just talked about today, and we're searching for a time to put it, and we say, oh, probably Wednesday at 7 is a good time.
Okay.
You know, so,
Audience, listen to that. That speaks to the fundamentals of what the BBPA. They are doing every effort to reach out and facilitate the needs of not only business today, but going forward. So for
and
those
I'd just like also to say, Anton, for Saturday, we have got some content, fundamental content running for this cohort. So for those who come on from 10 to 11 on a Saturday in the community space, we're doing economics, actual economics, that if you go to a university, that's what they teach. We're using PhDs from the University of York to deliver economics for the first 4 weeks, and then marketing for the next 3, and accounting for the next 5. So we're doing real content stuff there. So that's we'd love to see you folks there as well.
That is absolutely phenomenal. You see that? So please, for those that are there, take a hold. I didn't touch economics till I was down in university in the States and at U of T, and it was terrible. So if the earlier we can learn it, it's the better. The more we can give to our youth. And it's not just youth in numbers, it can be youth in heart as well. So please get your kids involved. It's focused on the youth, but anyone can be a youth. So that's Saturday from 10 to 11:30, Saturday 10 to 11:30. That is the community space program.
Right.
So for those that came out today, we thank you. We thank you so much for coming out and supporting us today. We will continue looking to support you going forward. With that, be well, be safe.